Awesome. All right, let's get started, everybody. Um, as we're going through, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A. We'll stop section by section and answer questions related to that. And at the end of the session, we'll answer just sort of open Q&A growth questions. So feel free to chime in whatever question you have at whatever time. Jordan's going to keep things organized and help us figure out what to answer at what point, and we'll go through it all. Cool. Last growth session we had, we went through 82 questions in 1 hour. So we'll see how many we get through today. Cool. So today we're going to talk about how to maximize revenue during the holiday season. It's a particularly important topic because there's a lot that happens, and if you do things right and start to organize your campaigns and your experiments at the right time, in the right order, you can actually maximize a lot of your revenue that to match user expectations. So we're going to cover that today. As always, I'm your host. I'm Superwall's in-house app growth expert. I work hands-on with our biggest customers to help them grow faster and run experiments, and also work heavily on the product side. We've got Jordan, our developer advocate, who's running our Q&A. He's going to keep things organized for us, and also helps handle like technical questions and other things like that too. Cool. So just as a quick pitch before we move on, Jordan and I also host office hours every other Thursday at the same time. So next week we'll have an office hours session. That's an open Q&A for anyone to come join us, anything technical, growth, design, have a paywall teardown, or any other issues or questions you have about Superwall. So quick pitch there. Join us next Thursday. We'll post on Discord in our community, and also there's a Luma calendar that you can subscribe to with all our events. Cool. So this time of the year, it can be a little bit tricky between Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holidays, and then for most app categories, there's a big install boost that happens in January. There's lots of different waves to ride. You can see an example here, a screenshot from one app in the fitness category where it's very obvious they get a big install bump during January and then it tapers off. That's a big opportunity for most apps. So what we're going to do today is give you a playbook for running experiments during the season to try and maximize your conversions. And specifically, we're going to talk about one, how to test, how to set up your timing for your tests if you run them, and the special offers and when to do that, who to target and what to offer them. And then we're also going to wrap up by talking about paywall designs. I'm going to show you some examples that we like, and then how to actually set up those campaigns in Superwall. Cool. So let's again. So the next 3 months landscape looks kind of crazy. So we've got today, and we've got a couple weeks before Thanksgiving happens. And Thanksgiving in the US is always associated with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So the Black Friday, of course, used to be just like a one-day event that happened after Thanksgiving. Now it's turned into a whole week in the e-commerce world, where the entire week leading up to Thanksgiving through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is Black Friday, and Cyber Monday happens, and Cyber Monday is actually become like a whole week-long thing. Um, that's your opportunity, your first opportunity to run some seasonal promos and um, give you a chance to start seeing how flexible your users are and how high they might convert or not convert with different types of offers. We've got the holiday season leading up to Christmas and through up to New Year's, where a lot of apps will run different sales at the end of the year. Um, and then New Year's offers that might happen around the time. But then we've got the big spike in January where this big beginning of the year makes the most out of it offer window. So each of these are different waves that you can ride with different offer types. And you should really treat each of these as separate offer windows that each one you want to think through. What do we want to offer here at this moment, and who do we want to offer to? Um, I think a lot of apps will treat them all as we're going to show the same offer to everybody, and we're going to use the same design. We should change the language, and we're going to basically hit our whole email list. We're going to hit push notifications. We're going to hit everybody with an interstitial message when they open the app. And I think that's not pretty tactful. I think you should think about it a little more granularly to make sure you're maximizing what you can get out of those. And it's really not that much of an additional effort to make sure that you're treating each of these as separate offer opportunities. Cool. All right. So I want to talk about how to optimize your experiment and offer schedule, because this is a particular point in time where we need to treat things differently than we normally run experiments. When we typically run experiments, we're going to plan out what we think has the most potential impact, and we're going to layer them correctly. And I'm going to run this test for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to run the next test that's going to take 1 week. We have to think about that totally differently during this time, where it's very compressed, and we want to run things in very short, tight intervals to try and maximize conversion. So when we test during a compressed time frame, there's a whole different strategy that we want to use. So we want to narrow that down and really, over the course of only a couple days, run just 2 variants. So we want to limit the number of variants, and we want to run a compressed time frame. So for example, Monday, Tuesday, Black Friday week, we want to run a test there to try and, so we're not continue running a test all the way through Black Friday. We want to run a test to figure out what the best opportunity is before we go in 100% on what the best converting offer is. And this is going to allow you to find the best performance as your default for the most amount of time. So here's an example. So the week of Black Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you might be running a test early with 2 variants. It's either 2 different designs, maybe 2 different offers. You're going to run a tight test in a very compressed window, and you're only going to run, my recommendation is only to run 2 variants. And that's because you want to maximize the amount of data that you can get in each of those variants and limit the amount of time each one takes to try and get some signal that one is better than the other. Now, you might actually not be able to figure out that one is going to perform better long term, but we're focusing on special offers here to try and maximize conversion during this tight window here. So we're looking for what is going to convert the best and maximize revenue over the next month versus what's going to perform best over the course of the next year. Cool. And then similarly, we got a plan for January. So here's how I approach January is I've got a New Year's offer. I'm going to treat it the same way. I've got a tight compressed window. So maybe the first week of January or the time right after Christmas, leading up to New Year's, I'm going to run a very tight test and then run that whole, the winter of that during the whole January. During January, I might run one, maybe 2 other very short, brief tests to try and maximize that. But I'm treating it as a very short, tight window. I'm going to run tests so that I can maximize the amount of time I have with all the installs I'm getting during that window. Um, I mean, it's pretty clear. Like this is an example from an actual fitness app. Fitness is obviously one category that gets a lot of attention and a big install boost in January. And you can see they've 2.5x their install volume during that time. So I'm going to ask an open question, everybody. You can chime in the Q&A. As you think ahead to January, do you expect to have an install boost during that time window? Michael, yep, cool. Michael says yes. And Michael, for a digital reader app, that makes sense. Cool. All right. All right. So I'm going to ask Jordan a question here because Jordan has an app that has some seasonality to it. Jordan has an app called Elite Hoops that is used by basketball coaches at high school, collegiate, and even younger to help coaches run practices more efficiently. So I'm going to ask him a question. How, when is your big season when it's kicking off? And then how do you plan for your experiments during that time period?
Yeah, so the app's been out for about two years now, so I have some data on seasonality. And what I've found is that October to a little bit into March is like where I'll make 80% of the revenue, within 12 months. So right now, for example, I'd go from getting maybe one trial conversion a day to maybe two to like 10 to 20. And my main driver has been Apple search ads. But to kind of
Mhm.
capitalize on this time right now, if any of you follow me on X, I just posted this. I'm doing a month straight of just marketing efforts. So part of the way I'm going to try and capitalize is off paid ads. I'm working with a marketing agency for the first time to try and really hit the window that I'm in. So for me, when I kind of think of these things, like the seasonality, I think kind of affects apps differently. For me, it's not going to be like new year, new you, like it would be with workout apps. It's like I'm in basketball season. Like now is the time to press the pedal to the metal and really take advantage of the
Mhm.
fact that I'm going to have a lot more installs. You'll go from 10 to 20 a day to, 500 to 800. So like, how do you take advantage of that?
Yeah. So a couple good principles that Jordan mentioned. One, it January is probably not a time to do a ton of feature releases unless you're shipping something that's particularly important for like fitness, health, or something really specific to that. It's a good time to focus on marketing efforts. And you mentioned something else along with that, that a lot of apps who are scaling growth will actually add additional extra marketing effort behind the January install boost to try and capture as much of that as possible that you can use during that time period. And that when during you're doing that, sometimes running experiments can be a little disruptive. So you want to make sure that you're timing up your experiments with when you're going to increase your install volume with more UA traffic to make sure you're coordinating those two things. Let's keep going. All right. So we're going to talk for a second about determining who gets a seasonal promo and who doesn't. Because there are some questions about who do new users get this? Should new users be eligible for for a special promo? Is this offer only for reactivating our term subscribers? Are we trying to activate freemium users? And there's a few questions that I think you should ask yourself as you're approaching this season. So one, and let's just think about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Would new users be upset if they found out other users got a special seasonal offer and they didn't? I actually have some customers. Well, they think about Black Friday and Cyber Monday as a chance exclusively to reactivate expired subscribers, but they don't want to mess up anything with onboarding for new users. And I think that's for some, that comes down to a business decision. You need to think about like, um, do we need to protect our UA traffic and so we're sending back to Meta and other platforms? Or is it a good time to try and capitalize on those? Because we want to make sure that even our new users see that they're getting extra value during this time period to try and boost extra conversions that we get from them. Of course, in January, when you're getting a bunch of install volume, every new user should be getting your special offer. So another question we ask that you might ask yourself is, if we get 5% conversion rate from our canceled or expired users to get them to reactivate, what's the potential opportunity? And then if that is 5%, what is the offer that we could get them to try and boost that to 7%, maybe 8%? Um, how much opportunity is there behind each of uh, each of those two segments, canceled and expired? Another question you might ask as you're heading into this is, do we have a way to communicate the offer to cancel or expired users? Because a lot of times, if you don't have a way to email those customers or send them push notifications, most canceled or expired users have deleted the app already. So you need some way to mention to them that they are eligible for an offer, that an offer exists. Um, and then another one would question asked would be, would getting a 5% conversion rate among my freemium users or 5% boost cannibalize their normal conversion rate? Is there an opportunity now to capture as much of that revenue up front, or would that revenue have come anyways? Um, so particularly with freemium users, it's a good time to run a quick experiment. Now, I'll give you an example here. I'm an AllTrails user. I'm a premium subscriber. I was using AllTrails, and then I wasn't ready to pay until they gave me a 50% off 1 year uh, as an offer that I then said, yep, I was ready to convert. That was the right nudge that I needed to be able to convert to a paid customer. So when you think about that, is a 50% discount for free users going to actually cannibalize those users who would have paid anyways or not? And that's a judgment that you can look at in your own business data. Cool. So let's talk about different types of offers that you should test. We have some guidance on this, what works, what doesn't. Some of this will vary market to market and app category to app category. So take this a little bit with a grain of salt. If you have questions specific to your app category, we can tailor those too. But we're going to talk through some examples of things that we've seen work particularly well around this time period. So let's take them segment by segment. For new users, the offer that we see work time and time again is a discount on a yearly plan. A discount on a monthly or weekly plan doesn't really pan out as well a user who sees a 50% discount going from $9.99 per month down to $4.99. All right, that's a $5 difference. I kind of expect a little more, but going from $60 a year to 35, $30 or 30 or $45 for a 25 or 50% discount is a pretty significant discount. So for new users, if I'm seeing a special offer that is limited in its time frame and I can do it right now, I'm more likely to maximize those conversions. For our canceled or expired users, again, a discount on a yearly plan. And I emphasize yearly um, because it's particularly important that you try to maximize the amount of large revenue or revenue that you're going to get for the whole year now. Um, One thing that I also like, or one note, is discounts on yearly plan can either be a discount for the whole as a permanent discount, or it can be just a discount on the first year and it's going to renew back at the normal price after. Both are equally valid and potentially worth one of your tests that you get to run. Um, for cancel or expired users, it's a little higher risk, but some customers are really big into lifetime offers. Some customers that I work with, and lifetime offers can be a good way to reactivate them if you have a special deal for a limited time offer. Um, for customers, if your customers are the kind who particularly look for like a really good value offer, lifetime offers can be worth it, but also the risk is now you're not going to get any revenue from that user forever once they've purchased. So you need to think about whether lifetime offers are actually like a good option for you. A little higher risk, um, but it can be potentially really high converting. All right, let's talk about freemium users. So during this time period, the thinking is a special offer is going to nudge users who are like right on the edge. So I mentioned I was an Ultras user on the free plan. I saw an offer and it bumped me up and gave me the nudge I needed to convert. So a big discount on the first year, 50% off for 1 year. That's the thing that converted me with All Trails. And with a lot of other freemium users, that's the thing that they need to be able to capture in the moment. Also, for free users, I've seen this work. Most apps will have like a free trial or something that they offer in onboarding. And your free users are the ones who said, I don't even want that. What might convert well for them is a low priced 1 or 3 month trial. So it's a paid trial. Maybe it's $4 for a month. Maybe it's $4 for 3 months. We see this plenty of other times with other tech companies. Um, Audible and others will offer a special deal where it's a low price for 1 or 3 months. It's a good way to nudge those freemium users over the edge to commit, and then those products then renew back at the normal price. So it gives them a low price extended trial that's nice. And then for existing weekly or monthly subs, this doesn't come up very frequently, but we should think about them as part of this group. Because now is actually a really good time to get them to upgrade to a yearly plan with a single year discount. So, for example, I have if 20% of my active subs are monthly plan users, I can run a special offer to target just them where I'm going to present a paywall where they can upgrade to a year, save money over the course of a whole year, but with this special promo right now that is a little bit cheaper than what they would normally pay for a whole year. So it's a good chance to get them to upgrade. You're going to see more revenue up front from those users, and then it's going to root back at the normal price after. Cool.
And also to just answer the anonymous Cindy, yes, all these assets will be available in a blog post, the slides, this video, and I'll recap the questions in the content for sure. I meant to type that, but I put answer live. So
Cool. All right. Might ask the question for free trial users, say 14-day trial, have you seen offers to upgrade trial period to a 3 months for X price? So, my one quick distinction if a user's already in a free trial, you shouldn't make any offer to them. You should let them continue with their trial. Um, Anyone who's actively in a trial heading into this week, I try not to present any offer to because it's disruptive, it's confusing, it creates like a weird experience. I think that's the question you're asking, but if I'm not, feel free to respond there and let me know if I got it wrong. All right, let's keep going. So, um, All right, Michael, I'm going to ask you a question at the end when we get through a couple more questions, or a couple more sections here. So, what's your seasonal offer paywalls look like? That's a very good question. Here are a few best practices that we have for you. So, one, make it stand out. I'll often come across apps where during this period they can't figure out why their seasonal offers don't work or a promo offer. And when I look, it's their same paywall they use all the time. They just changed the price and added one line of copy to a bullet point. That doesn't really work. You need to make it stand out. Use different colors than you normally use. Use different copy. Um, make the copy specifically about the offer for this time period. You can use other elements, like in this example here, we've got the big discount underneath the banner that actually moves and says lifetime discount. Um, you can use timers or countdowns. So in Superwall, you can actually set a timer that ends at 23:59:59 the Sunday after Black Friday at that specific time, and the countdown timer is going to continue to count down for that user until that specific point across all the paywalls that they see, and it's going to let them know they've got a limited amount of time to be able to get that offer. And those things, because these are seasonal offers that really actually are limited time offers, you can set that specifically for that time period and add a timer or other indicator that's going to let them know that they need to take advantage now. And we have a couple of templates. Here's two examples that I like. Obviously, one is built for Halloween, but that can easily be tailored to whatever season you want. The other one I like because it calls it Black Friday. It uses nice gradients. It looks very different. It's pretty vibrant. And shout out to Superwall friend Vahe from Tangent Growth. He dropped some new awesome templates. Um, this I included this in the link here below. And when we share out the deck, we'll share this link and the links to these templates. But they look pretty awesome. A couple things I want to call out here in these designs. One, the first one you'll see looks pretty familiar. Um, the second one in the middle, they added some social proof and some highlights around the offer that you can add that make it really nice. I think adding social proof to your paywall is a nice touch during this period, especially for your free users who are you're trying to upgrade. And then the last one here on the far right, I like that the visual indicates that this is a lower price than they normally have. So they have a normal price of $15.99 per month. It's dropping, and then it's going to go back up to $15.99 per month after. So it's a good, awesome visual indicator of what they have the opportunity to upgrade to right now. Cool. All right. Um, cool. So I'm going to run through one more section here, and then Michael and Maya, I'm going to get to your questions right after. All right, so let's talk about how you set up this in Superwall. Um, right up front, I think the best thing that you can do is create one new audience for each of your seasonal offers. What it's going to do is it's going to be flexible. You can turn them on and off when you're ready for them, when you're not. And you're not really going to disrupt the data or UX. You don't have to worry about adding paywalls or removing paywalls. You do that all ahead of time. But create one new audience for each of those specific periods, and then you're going to give yourself, it'll make it really easy to manage them or for someone in your team to manage. It creates a lot of clarity. So first thing that we would suggest is make sure you get those audiences set up for before they actually want to go live. The next thing we want to talk about is targeting the right users. So for audience targeting, audiences are trying to cancel or expired subscribers, we've got new entitlement filters that were released today. This is in the top image that you can see here. We've added a bunch of new sections to help you target the right users. So for example, active trial with auto renew disabled, active subscriptions with auto renew disabled. That means they're in a cancel state but not yet expired. You can check for if they have a fully expired entitlement. Those are all good like more granular ways to target users who are in one of those states that you want to target specifically. For free users who haven't ever upgraded, use the unsubscribed users setting. And then for weekly or monthly subs, I don't know if anyone's done this. When you create your entitlements in Superwall, I actually like to add my pro entitlement, but I'll add an extra entitlement that's called pro weekly, pro monthly, or pro yearly. And what this does is it'll allow me to set, oop, it'll allow me to create an audience where I can set that when pro weekly is active, I can show a specific offer to use those users to try and upgrade them to an annual plan. Um, so little hack there, add an extra entitlement with the interval included in the entitlement name, and that'll let you to target those users who are in one of those active state but a lower interval that you want to try to upgrade a user to a yearly plan with. All right, cool. So tactically, that'll do it for me in terms of the overview of everything. Let's go to a few questions and then we're going to open up to general questions about Superwall and growth. So Michael, your question is, when offering different price offers, do we set that up in App Store Connect as a product, and does it appear in the product page in App Store? How does this work technically? Um, so the way to set these up in App Store Connect, this is sort of a good question about like how to organize your subscriptions and subscription groups. So one thing I like doing is setting up a subscription group that's specifically just for seasonal offers. And it keeps it separate because then a user who sees that subscription group and subscribes won't be able to see any other normal subscriptions, but also your normal active subscribers won't be able to find those seasonal offers because in your subscription management UI in the App Store app, you can only see other subscriptions in that same subscription group. So key thing there, when you're looking at users go to manage it, you don't have to worry about them finding this seasonal offer and then switching to it and then you losing revenue. So keep your seasonal offers in a different seasonal offer subscription group. Um, and then that allows you to really cleanly offer only those products at this particular time. Um, so can you, Michael, maybe add some clarification about what you mean about appearing in the product page in the App Store? Um,
I think what he means is like when you visit the app, you open it in the App Store. If you go to the in-app purchase section, there it will show everything across all subscription groups. I'm almost positive, which is
yeah,
unavoidable. But
it's
what Nick, what
unavoidable.
you're
It's
saying
also
is
not a big
true though.
deal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, but the important part is like when they go to manage it, they're only going to see the ones that are in their subscription group. So one you can
yeah,
control, one you can't do anything about.
yeah, and it usually is a way to make sure that you like you can't control what subscriptions Apple puts on the product page, and Apple like frequently will show subscriptions that are really old sometimes. Um, Oftentimes I don't really find that to be an issue. Like it's rare that a customer complains that they can't find that subscription. Um, and even if they do, you can tell them like that was from a very long time ago when the product was not as good or was something different. Usually is the case where they find something like that, but you can also tell them that it was a seasonal offer that is only available at that time period, which sort of adds to the um, desire to upgrade at that particular time. Cool. Related to that, CJ asked the question, doesn't that create risk that people can end up in multiple subscription groups simultaneously? Um, Ideally, if you're targeting people correctly, so if they're a free user who upgrades, they don't have an active subscription. The only issue that they could get into um, is if you then have like upgrade or downgrade flows on top of that. So, CJ, do you have multiple tiers in your subscription or multiple subscription tiers in your app? Yeah. Okay. So in that case, what I might do is create a subscription group that's basically a duplicate of my existing subscriptions and add one extra SKU that is my special offer that I'm making. So that way you're not people who then come into that offer will see your normal upgrade and downgrade cross-grade options there. Cool. All right. And then Maya asked a question. For users who come in on a special low price offer for the first year, how does their LTV compare to users who subscribe to one regular annual price? So this is a good question because you don't want to cannibalize your revenue. Um, but the main point of these particular seasonal offers is you're trying to nudge people who might not have converted anyways. So this is why, the offer that you make to brand new users might be different than the offer that you make to your winbacks or to your free users who you're trying to upgrade. You can use different discount offers or different paid intros or trials to try and convert them and think about them as different segments. So a free user who upgrades at a discount offer, the LTV that you're comparing, you can see, you can like project out if they would have likely converted at any point or what percent of them would have, but you're really comparing against users who are more likely to never convert than to convert. Um, like freemium conversion upgrade path is usually like less than 10%, most times less than 5%. So it really depends on your app and your current KPIs to decide if that's worth it. Um, to decide if you want to show that to a particular segment. But in general, like low offer price for the first year typically is going to convert users who wouldn't have converted anyways, but then you're protecting yourself because it's going to renew back to the normal price. Cool. All right. Michael, cool. I like it. Hypothetical here. So let's say I have an onboarding flow has multiple screens. Is there a best practice to reduce onboarding steps to get users to the offer faster during Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Is there anything Superwall needs to be changed in the audience to make this work? For example, date range filter to skip screen 2, 3, 4. Um, so Michael, typically the way that you would set this up is I remember the example that I gave where you would actually just create a whole new audience for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. I would actually just create a paywall that actually eliminates screens 2, 3, and 4 to get them to that offer faster. Um, I don't know in your app if you have a lot of drop off already on screens 2, 3, and 4, but if you're trying to get users to that offer messaging faster, I would create my Black Friday audience. I've got an onboarding design. I'm going to modify it just for this particular period. Um, yeah, exactly. Michael, create new payment and sent to audience. And in general, the best practice for running experiments is creating a new audience for every experiment anyways. So most of the time you're going to be creating and assigning paywalls to audiences already. Um, yep, that's exactly right, Michael. All right, everyone. I've talked a whole bunch here. Um, for the rest of the time here, I got about 20 minutes that Jordan and I can offer to help answer any questions related to special offers, seasonal offers, or anything else around design questions for this, or if you have just any other questions about Superwall or growth related. While we're waiting for that, um, Jordan, I'm going to ask you some questions about your new month without any software development.
Yeah,
Cool.
go for it.
What are the top 2 to 3 things that you're like objectives you're trying to hit during this 1 month of marketing?
Yeah, so
By the way, I'm going to start calling it the merry month of marketing for you.
I love it. Yeah, well, for some context, I'm the classic indie that loves building. That's what's fun for me. I don't really enjoy marketing too much. I enjoy it more than I used to for sure, but I used to not want to do it at all. So as the years have gone by and, working at Superwall, soaking up all the information, I've really seen, building a great product is a prerequisite. Like you have to solve a problem and you have to have a compelling product that people will pay for. But once you have that, marketing is what's going to get you to the next step, in my opinion, right? It's the next feature that I really want to add probably is not going to do it. So it's the whole next month is for me to train my brain to just focus on growth because I don't really ever focus on growth. I'm accidentally growing at this point. And that was part of the impetus of starting with a marketing agency to help me think about the product and how to talk about it. Maybe who could I reach out to? Like, even though it's not really it's more of like a platform, I think, than like a consumer app. But even given that, can I still leverage UGC content? Can I grow that way? If I do, like, what's the right message to send out? And this kind of all started because I made one reel that went semi-viral and has a few million views, which drove a lot of business for me. And this will show you how great I am at not marketing. Once I hit that reel, what I should have done is doubled, tripled down on making more content like that to really accelerate growth. Instead, I looked at it, I was like, oh, that was super cool. And then I went away and built more features for the next year. So trying to bring some more levity to that situation because the app is definitely getting to that point where it could be into that 10 to 20 MRR range pretty quickly. So I'm going to see if I can get there and put some gasoline on that, the time it takes to get there.
Awesome. And what like as you think about that, like now's like a big season for you. Obviously, like basketball season is well underway. What are like some of your top like messaging or ways that you think about like messaging or presenting um like copy designs and messaging during this time period?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to think about that because the original problem I solved with the app, which is sharing basketball plays, is used a lot. But the thing that people use more is the practice planning stuff. So that's one thing I'm kind of realizing is this season I'm going to lean into more talking about that. Like I have paid ads that have gone on before that are like, hey, here's the easiest way to share your basketball plays. Whereas now I'm going to more lean into like, here's how to make your practices quickly or more efficiently and better. Of course, the copy would be stronger than that, but kind of focus the messaging there. But it's
Mhm.
interesting, and this is why analytics are so important. Is you kind of have to know who you're talking to because the people that use the app can really kind of vary. There's youth coaches, there's parents, there's high school coaches, college coaches, even professionals. And I have people at each level aside from pro using it. I have Division 1 colleges that use it. I have high school coaches that use it. I have a ton of youth coaches. I have parents. Like, how do you cater your message to all of those? Do you
Mhm.
even do that at all? Do you focus on one or the other? Are they different marketing campaigns? These are all the questions that I'm starting to dive into. I don't have the answers yet, but I'm thinking on them.
It all happened during the merry month of marketing. And just a quick question for you, Jordan, what do you use for product analytics?
Mixed panel. I love mixed panel. Obviously, aside from Superwall and all the data we get there, but it has a super generous tier. I don't even know how it's possible to pay for it at like a single product level scale. Knock on wood, maybe they'll announce a new plan tomorrow, but it's super easy to use from an API standpoint too for any developers that may be here. But yeah, I track things such as like user data such as like what kind of coach are you? Like I mentioned earlier, parent, youth, high school, pro. That's how I have that data. Or even which widgets do they use on their home screen? It really helps you understand what's important and what's valuable. And in terms of Superwall, this is something that I tell people a lot. Is the way that our placements and campaigns work, you can pretty much directly tie dollars to features in a way. And Nick, you would have much better insight on this, but
Mhm.
this is something I tell my friends a lot because you can see from which placements and paywalls people are converting. So in my case,
Mhm.
you would see a lot more conversions from people opening the practice planner than you would the digital whiteboard to record a play, which is a signal for you that like, hey, should I double down on this? Should I talk about this more? Like, what does that
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Yeah, it's sort of a signal into what is the most valuable feature and how to direct your roadmap. Cool. All right, let's get back to a couple questions in the Q&A. Yusuf asked a question, do you think it can be a good idea to run some ads with Black Friday offer? When the user downloads the app, he will find it. So let's talk about ads during seasonal time period. So like right now, basically from now heading through Cyber Monday and even into the Christmas season, running ads is going to be more expensive than ever because so many e-commerce and other um, like physical good um, companies are trying to run ads, and so the cost goes up because the inventory declines. So right now is actually like a bad time to start running more ads. That said, um, right after Christmas, the costs drop pretty dramatically because all the e-commerce companies have slowed down their sales, and the amount of money they put behind um, their marketing. And so, starting like the week of the week after Christmas into New Year's and heading through January is a great time to put more ad spend behind your app. Um, because not only are you getting users who are more high intent because of the new year, but you're also getting um, a little bit cheaper CPMs. Cool. All right. Next question. Um, let me know if I pronounced your name right. Abdul Masid. Abdul Masid. All right. I like it. Sorry if I just mispronounced your name. Cool. Got it. All right. Should we send push notifications about each special promo offer? How should we handle it? Make sure users don't delete the app specifically because they're not sure about sending particular offers. So I would use push notifications conservatively. I would try, I think Black Friday is a good litmus test to see. Like for my users who are free, unless I'm getting a bunch of extra value from them having be free users and continue to use the app for free, um, it's pretty low risk to send push notifications to free plan users. Um, for users who are on like a weekly or monthly plan, there's a little more risk that you might annoy them or um, or possibly like confuse them. Like it's much easier to present that messaging in the paywall itself when they open the app. Um, so for free users, I say go gangbusters and send push notifications for each offer. For um, I wouldn't do like repeat it like multiple times during Black Friday. I would probably send like one Black Friday message and maybe one more before that offer expires at the end of the week, but I wouldn't do like a daily one. Um, and then for like expired users, they're more likely to not have the app installed anyways, so it's pretty low risk to send them a push notification. But what I would do is basically treat Black Friday as like a test to see um, how effective a push notification. And what I would do is actually set a push notification that deep links right into a specific paywall using the deep link open placement in Superwall. So you can see how many users convert off of a specific deep link placement. Um, so that's an option for you. See how well it converts, if it's worth it or not. You basically have to look at the data and see how much of my conversion rate came from that. You can also set it where only half of your users are going to get a push notification, the other half won't, and see what the difference is in their conversion rates and the volume of people opening the app and seeing a paywall is. All right, everyone. All right. We have a few minutes left. Any final thoughts or questions about what we've talked about today? Heading to seasonal offers, what you should use or not use? Oh, all right. All right, then. With that, we'll end today. As always, thank you for joining. Hope you got a lot out of this. I certainly enjoyed talking through all this with you today. And please, as always, feel free to ask questions in the community Discord. We'll post this deck along with the questions and resources in the our blog post that Jordan will post out here in the next little bit. Um, and we'll include links to a bunch of those templates. So, cool. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your hopefully very successful holiday season. And we'll talk to you later,
See you all.
everyone.